Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to talk Browns, and so we've got Cavs first, then Browns, and we'll hopefully have some Guardians, and we'll have some other NFL and NBA news and Major League Baseball news. Hopefully, we'll get to all that. But first, here is today's Scott Sports 101 NBA Cavs trivia question: what is the Cavs' longest losing streak? I'll have the answer later on the podcast. Uh, Excuse me. Well, last off season there was a rampant speculation that the Cleveland Cavaliers could potentially trade center Jared Allen. The Cavaliers ended up signing him to a 3-year, $90 million contract extension instead. Now, of course, the extension didn't necessarily take a trade off the table, and a legitimate and a legitimate argument, excuse me, could be made that it actually increased his trade value. But Cleveland still is opted to hold onto Allen, and the decision has paid uh, dividends as the big man has played a crucial role in the Cavs' run to the best record in this basketball season. However, could the Cavaliers potentially uh, reinvest the Allen trade talks this summer? Josh uh, Cornelissen of King Gospel feels it's a possibility, nothing that he could still need to see if Allen and Evan Mobley front court also can produce in the playoffs before we pencil in Allen for the future. Now, if Kenny Atkinson is pulling Jared Allen off the floor in crunch time every game, and the Cavs fall short of their goals this season, it could be time to explore Allen trades once more. Uh, Cornelissen wrote, excuse me, he has only improved his trade value this year and would likely be valued by a number of teams around the league. In the event uh, that Cleveland move Allen, uh, it would probably shift Mobley to center uh, and start DeAndre Hunter at power forward. Cornelissen notes that the Cavs could try and acquire a two-way wing in a potential Allen trade, which could actually give them a more versatile lineup. Right now, the Cavaliers aren't even thinking about trading Allen. They are focused on other goals, but if Cleveland does fall short in the playoffs yet again, we cannot entirely uh, rule out the possibility that it will look to retool, and moving Allen could be a part of that. So we shall see. And the Cavs are back in action tonight as they will be taking on the Portland Trailblazers tonight at 10, uh, and that will be in Portland. Uh, and we're going to take a look at the NBA scoreboard right now. Uh, uh, right now, in the fourth quarter, with 9:23 to go, the Miami Heat is up by 17, 87 to 70 in the fourth quarter, and Miami has really been dominating this game tonight. The in the fourth with 4:44 left to go in the fourth quarter in New York, the New York Knicks are up by 23 on the Dallas Mavericks, 117-94 in the fourth quarter. And New York, whoa, boy, have they been on a role tonight. They are just dominating. Another dominant performance in the third. And in Houston, the Houston Rockets, with 8:45 to go in the third, are up 72-53. And Houston is all over Atlanta tonight. They're up by 19 points right now. Now they're up by 20 points, 73-53. 8:45 to go in the third. At the end of the first quarter, the Utah Jazz are up by 6 on the Memphis Grizzlies, 35-29. And a couple of finals, the Detroit Pistons beat the San Antonio Spurs 122-96 in Detroit. And boy, that was a 26-point win for them. Detroit, one of Detroit's best dominating performance games of the season. The Orlando Magic and the Orlando Magic beat the Charlotte Hornets 111 to 104 in Charlotte tonight by 7 points. And I think the Magic are working their way to the playoffs. And we have a couple of games tonight at 10, as I mentioned. The Cavs will be in Portland to take on the Trailblazers at 10 o'clock at I'm trying to here we go. 10 o'clock. It'll be they're taking on the Portland Trailblazers, and that will be at Moda Center at the Rose Quarter in Portland, Oregon, and you can catch that game on FanDuel Network. And the Oklahoma City Thunder will be in Sacramento to take on the Sacramento Kings. And we will get to the Browns and the Cavs, the Browns and hopefully the Guards in just a moment. But right now, it is time to review the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 NBA Cavs trivia question. What is the Cavs' longest losing streak? If you said 26 games, you are correct. After LeBron James left for the Miami Heat, the Cavaliers finished the 2010-2011 season last in the conference, enduring a 26-game losing streak that ranks as the longest in NBA history for a single season and second overall. I have another trivia question on my next podcast, so stay tuned for that. Well, now we're going to move on to some Browns news. The Shedeur Sanders rumor mill is hitting a fever pitch amid growing criticism, which included questions revolving around his perceived arrogant answers to questions at the NFL Combine, lack of elite talent. Sanders could still possibly be the number 2 pick in the upcoming 2025 NFL Draft. Former NFL scout turned on-air host Todd McShay of the Ringer said on his podcast, The McShay Show, that he believes Sanders is truly in play for the Browns with the second pick. He adds that the Browns front office likely needs to draft Sanders and hope head coach Kevin Stefanski can make more magic with a pocket passer like Sanders in an attempt to save their jobs. Because, both Andrew Berry's job's on the hot seat and Kevin Stefanski's job is on the hot seat. They're more handcuffed by any other organization by one contract. That is Deshaun Watson, McShay said. You need to win at some point real soon to save your jobs. So how do you solve this crisis? They have a crisis at the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson is worst contract given to an individual, maybe in the history of sports. So how do we manage? What's our best path? They just need solid quarterback play. They don't need elite quarterback play. Number one, Browns GM Andrew Berry can't expect to be picking this high again. And if they are, Berry and Stefanski are very likely out of jobs. Number two, because at the of the Watson deal, you don't have the cap space to make any big ticket signings. So Cleveland's best chance of winning short and long term is to strike gold with the number two pick. And if I'm Andrew Berry, my greatest asset is the whole mess. Is my head coach Stefanski is my greatest asset. Stefanski has a proven track record of getting the most out of a pocket passing quarterbacks with limited mobility, and they need to get it right this time. Uh, the theory makes sense as the quarterback carousel this offseason has shown that many teams are looking for any steady play under center. Aaron Rodgers is the last domino fall in that market as the Giants, Steelers, and perhaps Vikings stay in contact with the ex Jet. There's a world where Rodgers departs for Pittsburgh or Minnesota, and then Cam Ward and Sanders are drafted at number one and number two. That's what the Giants brass is staring down the barrel between now and April. McShay concluded by saying, a week ago, I glossed over Cleveland taking Shador at number two right now. It's true. I truly believe that Shador Sanders is in play with that number two pick for the Cleveland Browns, and it would not surprise me. That might be a good choice, or Cam Ward or Jackson Dart. Now, Stefanski has shown that he can win with a variety of quarterbacks, taking uh, home Coach of the Year honors in 2023 because of the high level he messaged out of a 38-year-old Joe Flacco en route to the playoffs. He was also the Vikings quarterback coach when career backup Case Keenum had a career year while leading a playoff run. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler shared a similar sentiment of the Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick show on Monday, and they've been tough to figure out, and a little bit. Fowler said per SI.com, I don't know that they like Shador to what extent, if they're willing to pick him at number two overall. I can't say. I do know there's some love there for Shador Sanders and sort of his uh, computer brain to be able to feel out the game mentally. Uh, they they home some respect. They home and hold some respect for what Shador can do in that area. Maybe more than some teams. What the Browns do in the draft could affect the Giants. Should General Manager Joe uh, Sharon uh, strike out on Rodgers and Russell Wilson? Flacco and Jameis Winston both recently visited the team as fallback options. The Giants are expected to attempt to trade up to the number one pick and Ward, but it's possible the Titans may prefer just to stay put. So we will see if the Giants will move up, if the who the Browns will take at number two, and will the Titans stay put? Now the Browns uh, have their plans for the top pick. And I'm gonna go into this story right now. I want to just tell you this real quick. Uh, and the Browns' plans for the top pick and the could be crystal clear. Uh, it's back to the drawing board for the Cleveland Browns again, as you know. The Browns were in the mix for free agent QB Russell Wilson, and that boat has left the dock with his decision to sign with the New York Giants. And that is true. Russell Wilson did sign with the New York Giants. When landing in New York takes another option away from the Browns, which has been a theme in free agency. Cleveland can't enter the season with Kenny Pickett as the starting quarterback, or there will be jobs lost in 2025. And undoubtedly, with another option off the table, the plan at quarterback may be coming clear. The Browns are taking a quarterback in the draft and may be forced to do it at number 2. Cleveland has to figure out the most important position in football. There is no other way around it. Uh, uh, sure, they can patch it for some time, but that never works for long in Cleveland. So, why I would start now? The Browns have been weighing heavily on the option of taking Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders at the number 2 pick overall. All signs point to the Titans taking Ward at number 1. At least that's what they're leading everyone to believe. If that move, Sadira, falls into the laps of the Browns at number 2, uh, signing Wilson would have made it easier to get the best player available and take a player like Penn State defensive end Abdul Carter. Now the Browns don't currently have a, a competent QB to roll through 2025 with. That changes things. Trading for Kirk Cousins could happen for Cleveland, but he isn't going to be moved until after the draft. Cleveland isn't waiving his no trade clause to come to a team that drafts a quarterback high. So the Browns will have to weigh that option either way, tying themselves to Cousin, who didn't look good his last time following his Achilles injury. Carson Wentz is out there, but he hasn't started in multiple years, and that idea is a poor one. But I probably would rather have him. But things are very murky right now, and the Browns need to work their way out of this. Most clear option is taking the quarterback at number 2 and hoping that it gets them out of this corner. And Sanders is the most pro-ready QB in terms of playing in structure. The draft in structure in this draft, excuse me. He is also the most accurate quarterback in the draft. Stefanski would work well with a quarterback like Sanders. He has done that throughout his coaching career. There is no sure thing at this point, but the Browns have to be weighing more forward, taking the QB at number 2, following the Wilson domino falling. And so I agree with that completely. But I would rather have. They do want to get a veteran quarterback in here, and they're going to. And I would rather have Carson Wentz, even though he hasn't started in multiple years uh, for 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 teams. He has not done that. But but it is reportedly that the Giants are expected to trade up to the number 1 pick, or the Titans may stay put. And I just mentioned that, and they could be interested in signing Carson Wentz uh, to draft with a chance to Rams on a chance to draft Carson Wentz at the number 2. But they might be interested in signing Carson Wentz, who they passed at the number 2 pick overall in the draft a few years back, and making a blockbuster trade with the Eagles, who selected him there. Now, And fast forward 9 years later, and the Browns might land Wentz after all, so you never know. And Wentz is 32, definitely have multiple interest in this season on him becoming their veteran bridge quarterback. A league source told Cleveland.com it's apparently uh, contingent upon them signing Russell Wilson, but now that's not going to happen. He visited last week. He's now signed with the New York Giants, and that's who he signed. He decided he was going to decide about among the Browns, Giants, excuse me. He decided he signed with the Giants just recently, so and the Giants and they might have been the front runner, but now they got Wilson. So, uh, but I think I would rather have Carson Wentz here, and for the quarterback, I would draft either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders, and but Wentz brings a Pro Bowl from 2017 with the Eagles and a Super Bowl ring from that year, even though he was recovering from his torn AOL by then. Wentz, who also made second team All Pro that year, went 11-2 and helped the Eagles to the top seed in the NFC before suffering a season-ending ACL in Week 14. And then Nick Foles took over, and the Eagles, as you know, won the Super Bowl that year. All right, and but yeah, they could get Carson Wentz. You never know. So we will see what pans out with this. Uh, and so, but unfortunately, I will. I'm gonna share some Guardians. We'll get into the Guardians quickly. I want to do this quick. And they did lose they won 3-2 today over the Diamondbacks in Cactus League play today. Uh, whoops. And they re-signed uh, Tanner Bybee to extension contract. They did re-sign him, and it was a 5-year extension contract. So yeah, they re-signed. They re-signed Tanner Bybee to here, and we are, and which is good because they do need him to stick around for a while, and he's one of the best pitchers we have. And the opening day is a couple of days away, and I think they have. Oh no, this is the Guardians' final Cactus League game today in Arizona as they won 3-2. So opening day is Thursday, the day after tomorrow, on March 27th. They will be in Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Royals at 4:10 p.m. at Kauffman Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for this edition of Scott Sports 101. And I'll be back with another one of my podcasts either this weekend or later this weekend, or sometime next week. But until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.